I'm marrying someone who actually deserves me, my ex-husband's text read, attached to a wedding invitation with MY replacement's face on it. But here's the thing about underestimating a woman who survived childbirth with triplets while her Mafia CEO husband was too busy handling business. We don't just come back. We come back legendary. Wait. Before you go. My mom bet me this story won't hit 10,000 views and 1,000 subscribers. Prove her wrong. Smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and comment where you're watching from. Let's show her what we're made of. Now, back to how I made my ex-husband's wedding the most unforgettable day of his life. The audacity of men never ceases to amaze me. I stared at my phone screen, blinking slowly like my brain was buffering, trying to process the absolute nerve of what I was seeing. The wedding invitation was elegant. Cream cardstock with gold embossing, the kind that screamed, "I have money and I want you to know it." Mr. Kang Min-Jun requests the honor of your presence at his wedding to Mississippi Park Hannah. My ex-husband. My actual ex-husband. The man who put 3 babies in me and then decided that being a Mafia CEO was more important than watching them take their first steps. The man who signed our divorce papers without even looking up from his laptop. That man had just invited me to his wedding. I laughed. Not a cute little giggle either, a full-blown, tears streaming down my face. My neighbors probably think I'm having a breakdown laugh. Mommy, why are you making the crazy laugh? I looked down at Ji-hoon, my 6-year-old son, who was staring at me with those devastating dark eyes he inherited from his father. Standing beside him were his triplet siblings, Amara with her box braids swinging, and little Kwame clutching his favorite toy car. Baby, Mommy just got some very funny mail, I said, wiping my eyes. How do you feel about getting dressed up really fancy next Saturday? Like prince and princesses? Amara asked, her face lighting up. Exactly like that, sweetheart. The thing about Kang Min-Jun, and this is what made him so dangerous in the Seoul underworld, was that he was a master strategist. Every move was calculated. Which meant this invitation wasn't an olive branch. It was a power play. He wanted me there, probably sitting in the back row in some department store dress, watching him marry his upgrade. A nice Korean girl from a nice Korean family who probably never talked back and definitely never pushed out 3 babies in one terrifying night. He wanted to humiliate me. But Min-Jun had made one critical error. He'd forgotten who he married. I wasn't the scared 23-year-old student he'd swept off her feet 7 years ago. I was Zara Kang. I kept the Kong just to annoy him, mother of 3, CEO of my own luxury cosmetics line, and I didn't do humiliation. I did spectacle. I picked up my phone and dialed. Legacy Motors? Yes, I need to rent your Rolls-Royce Phantom for next Saturday. The white one with the custom interior. Money is not an issue. The next week passed in a blur of preparation. I called in every favor I had. My best friend Chioma flew in from Lagos with enough Ankara fabric to clothe a small village. So let me get this straight, Chioma said, pinning fabric around Amara. This fool invited you to his wedding to embarrass you, and instead of just not going like a normal person, you're going to roll up like African royalty? Not just African royalty, I corrected, examining the deep purple silk we'd chosen for my outfit. I'm going to walk in there looking like I own Seoul. Which, technically, I partially do. What Min-Jun didn't know, what he'd been too busy with his criminal empire to notice, was that I'd been busy these past 3 years. My cosmetics line, Melanin Empress, had exploded across Asia. We'd just signed a deal with the biggest department stores in Korea. I had investments, properties, and enough money to make his mafia millions look cute. You're petty, Chioma laughed. I love it. I'm not petty. I'm strategic. There's a difference. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. Sunny, clear skies. The universe was on my side. The triplets looked absolutely adorable. Ji-hoon in his custom tiny suit, looking like a miniature CEO. Amara in purple silk with her natural curls styled in the most beautiful afro puff. Kwame in traditional Korean hanbok that I'd had specially made. And me? I looked like vengeance wrapped in elegance. My dress was a masterpiece. Deep purple osso oak fabric mixed with Korean silk, fitted to accentuate every curve I'd earned. My locks were styled up in an elaborate crown. My makeup was flawless, my own products, naturally. Diamond earrings that cost more than Min-Jun's wedding venue caught the light. The Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up to my penthouse at exactly 2 p.m. "Ready, babies?" I asked my children. "Ready, mommy," they chorused. As we drove through Seoul toward the wedding venue, some exclusive garden estate that probably cost a fortune, I felt my phone buzz. "Unknown number, don't come. Min-Jun is planning something. This is a trap." I smiled and deleted the message. Let him plan. I had plans of my own. The car pulled up to the venue and I could see the valet's eyes widen. A Rolls-Royce Phantom wasn't exactly common, even at high-society Korean weddings. The door opened and I stepped out first, letting the gasps ripple through the crowd of arriving guests. Then my babies emerged, one by one, looking like royalty. And that's when I saw him. Min-Jun stood at the entrance, greeting guests with his bride-to-be. He was wearing a traditional Korean suit, looking every bit the powerful CEO he was. His jaw was sharp enough to cut glass, his dark hair perfectly styled. Damn him for still being that handsome. His eyes locked on mine and I watched his entire body go rigid. His bride, pretty, delicate, everything I wasn't, looked confused. She whispered something to him. But Min-Jun wasn't looking at her. He was staring at me like he'd seen a ghost. Or maybe like he was seeing me for the first time. I smiled, took my children's hands, and walked toward him with my head held high. "Min-Jun," I said sweetly when I reached him. "Thank you so much for the invitation. We wouldn't have missed this for the world." His bride's smile faltered as she looked at my children. At their faces. At how much Ji-hoon looked exactly like a miniature Min-Jun. "Zara," Min-Jun said, and his voice was strained. "I didn't think that I'd come." "Oh honey, when the father of my children gets married, of course I come. It's only right that the triplets meet their father's new wife." "Right, baby." I patted Ji-hoon's head. The word triplets dropped like a bomb. I watched Min-Jun's bride process this information, her eyes widening. "Triplets?" she whispered. "You said you didn't have." "Hannah," Min-Jun cut her off, his jaw clenched. "Not here." But I wasn't done. "Such a beautiful venue," I continued, looking around. "Though I have to say, it's not quite as nice as the estate I just purchased in Gangnam. You should see it, Min-Jun. The children have their own wing. It's very spacious." A muscle ticked in his jaw. "Good. Excuse us," Hannah said tightly, pulling Min-Jun away. As they disappeared inside, I felt a presence beside me. "That was brutal," a deep voice said in Korean accented English. I turned to find a man I didn't recognize. Tall, sharp suit, dangerous smile. He looked like he belonged in Min-Jun's world. "And you are?" I asked. "Kim Tae-young. I work with Min-Jun. And you must be the ex-wife who's supposed to be quietly sitting in the back." "Do I look like I do anything quietly?" He laughed, a rich sound that made several women turn to look. "No, you really don't. This is going to be the most interesting wedding I've ever attended." Before I could respond, the wedding coordinator approached, looking flustered. "Mrs. Kang, Ms. Okonkwo, there's been a situation with your seating." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you've been moved to the front row. Mr. Kang's orders." My heart skipped a beat. What game was he playing? Min-Jun was absolutely losing it, and honestly, it was the most beautiful thing I'd seen all week. I could see him through the garden's glass doors, pacing like a caged tiger while his bride sat in a chair, fanning herself dramatically. His hands kept running through his perfectly styled hair, a tell I remembered from our marriage. He only did that when he was stressed beyond measure. "Good. Let him stress." "Your ex-husband looks like he's about to have a stroke," Taeyong observed, appearing beside me again with 2 glasses of champagne. He offered me one. "I don't drink at events where I need to stay sharp," I said, but I appreciated the gesture. "Smart woman. No wonder Min-Jun married you." "He married me because I was the only person who ever told him no." Taeyong's eyes sparkled with interest. "And now?" Now I'm the person who's going to sit front row at his wedding and smile like I'm having the time of my life. The coordinator returned, wringing her hands. Ms. Okonkwo, if you'll follow me? Mr. Kang would like a word before the ceremony. Would he now? I looked down at my triplets, who were charming a group of elderly Korean women with their adorable faces. Chioma, watch the babies. My best friend appeared at my elbow. Girl, if you're not back in 10 minutes, I'm coming in with pepper spray. That's why I love you. I followed the coordinator through the garden, my heels clicking on the marble pathway. She led me to a private gazebo draped in white silk, and there he was. Kang Min-Jun. My ex-husband. The father of my children. The man who'd once promised me the world and then took it back when things got hard. He'd lost weight. There were new lines around his eyes. But God help me, he was still the most devastatingly handsome man I'd ever seen. Zara. My name sounded like a prayer and a curse on his lips. Min-Jun. Or should I call you groom? I forget the etiquette for addressing your ex-husband at his wedding. His jaw clenched. Why did you come? You invited me. Remember? Or was that just your assistant's idea of a joke? You know why I sent that invitation. I stepped closer, invading his space the way I used to when we fought. Say it. Say you sent it to humiliate me. To show me what I lost. To parade your nice, appropriate Korean bride in front of the black woman who had the audacity to think she could be Mrs. Kang. Something flashed in his eyes. Pain, maybe. That's not. Don't lie. You were always a better criminal than a liar. Triplets, he said suddenly, and his voice cracked. You had triplets. Our children. And I didn't even know. Oh, now you want to play concerned father? You signed the divorce papers when I was 4 months pregnant. You didn't ask. You didn't care. You just left. I had to protect you. The words exploded out of him, and suddenly he was close, so close I could smell his cologne. The same one he'd worn when we met, when we married, when we made those babies sleeping in their stroller outside. Protect me. I laughed bitterly. From what? From my world. From the enemies I made. He stopped, his hands fisting at his sides. You don't understand what it means to be married to someone like me. The targets it puts on your back. So you divorced me and left me to raise 3 children alone? That was protection. You were supposed to go back to London. You were supposed to be safe, far away from Seoul, from the syndicate, from all of this. Well, surprise, Min-Jun. I stayed. I built an empire. I raised our children. And I did it all without you. His eyes dropped to my lips, and I hated that my body still remembered him. Still wanted him. You look, he started. Like someone you shouldn't have let go? I finished. Yeah. I know. The gazebo suddenly felt too small. The air was thick with everything unsaid between us. 3 years of hurt, anger, and something else. Something that felt dangerously like desire. I need to tell you something, Min-Jun said, his voice low and urgent. The wedding, it's not. Min-Jun. We jumped apart like guilty teenagers as Hannah appeared, her white pre-wedding dress flowing behind her. She stopped short when she saw us, her eyes narrowing. The ceremony starts in 30 minutes, she said coldly, looking between us. And you're here with her? Hannah, go back inside. I'll be there in. No. Her voice was sharp. We need to talk. Now. She glared at me. Alone. I held up my hands. By all means. He's your groom. As I turned to leave, Min-Jun grabbed my wrist. The touch sent electricity through my entire body. Front row, he said. I need you to see, just trust me. Please. I pulled away. I stopped trusting you the day you chose your empire over our family. The ceremony was a spectacle. White roses everywhere, a string quartet, guests in designer everything. I sat in the front row with my triplets, very aware of the whispers around us. Those are his children. I heard she's worth millions now. Did you see her arrive? In a Rolls-Royce. Ji-hoon tugged my sleeve. Mommy, why is everyone staring? Because we're fabulous, baby. The music started. Everyone stood. And Hannah appeared at the end of the aisle, looking ethereal in white. But Min-Jun wasn't looking at her. He was looking at me. The ceremony proceeded like a dream, or a nightmare, depending on your perspective. The officiant droned on about love and commitment, and I wanted to laugh. Or cry. Or both. If anyone objects to this union, speak now or... I object. The words didn't come from me. They came from Min-Jun. The entire garden erupted in gasps. Hannah looked like she might faint. And I couldn't breathe. Min-Jun turned to face the crowd, his voice clear and strong. I can't do this. I won't marry someone I don't love when the woman I've never stopped loving is sitting in the front row. Oh. My God. This whole thing, he continued, looking directly at me now, was supposed to make you jealous. To make you come back. To make you see. He stepped off the altar, walking toward me. To make you see that I'm still the biggest idiot in Seoul. I stood up, my heart pounding. Min-Jun, what are you? I love you, Zara. I've loved you since the day you told me my coffee order was ridiculously pretentious. I loved you when you were pregnant and threatening to kill me in my sleep. I loved you when I signed those divorce papers because I thought I was protecting you. And I love you now, watching you walk back into my life looking like a queen and making me remember everything I threw away. You invited me to your wedding, I said, my voice shaking. To humiliate me. No. I invited you because I'm desperate and stupid, and I thought if you saw me moving on, you'd realize you didn't want me to. I know it's twisted. I know it's wrong. But Zara, he was right in front of me now, close enough to touch. I'm a mafia boss. We don't do healthy communication. Despite everything, I laughed. God help me, I laughed. This is insane, I whispered. I know. You left me when I needed you most. I know. I have every reason to walk away right now. I know. His hand came up to cup my face, and I hated how right it felt. But before you do, let me say one more thing. Those triplets, our children, they deserve a father. And I want to be that. Even if you never forgive me. Even if you never take me back. Let me be their father. Amara tugged on my dress. Mommy, is that our daddy? I looked down at my daughter, then at Ji-hoon and Kwame, who were staring at Min-Jun with wide eyes. Yes, baby. That's your daddy. Is he a prince? Kwame asked. Min-Jun knelt down to their level. No, buddy. I'm not a prince. I'm just a man who made the biggest mistake of his life and is trying to fix it. Min-Jun. Hannah's scream cut through the moment. What about me? He stood up, facing her. I'm sorry, Hannah. Truly. You deserve someone who loves you completely. That's not me. It never was. Security was approaching now, Min-Jun's men, looking confused about whether to intervene. We need to leave, Taeyong said, suddenly at my elbow again. Now. Before this turns into a complete disaster. Too late, I muttered. Min-Jun grabbed my hand. Come with me. Please. Just give me 1 hour to explain everything. If you still hate me after that, I'll never bother you again. I looked at him, really looked at him. At the desperation in his eyes, the way his hand trembled slightly holding mine. 1 hour, I said. And you're buying the triplets ice cream. His smile could have lit up all of Seoul. Deal. As we rushed out of the garden, Hannah screaming behind us, guests in chaos, my children laughing like this was the best adventure ever, I thought, my life is absolutely insane. But looking at Min-Jun, at the way he held Ji-hoon's hand like it was precious, at the hope in his eyes when he glanced at me, maybe insane wasn't so bad. We piled into his car, a bulletproof Mercedes because of course it was, and as we sped away from the wedding disaster, Min-Jun's phone started ringing. He looked at the screen and his face went pale. What? I asked. It's my father. He knows. And Zara, he looked at me with genuine fear in his eyes. He's ordered an emergency family meeting. Tonight. And he wants you there. My stomach dropped. Why me? Because in Korean mafia families, when the heir makes a declaration like I just did, about the mother of his children. He swallowed hard. It's not just about us anymore. It's about the entire organization. Meaning my father is going to test you. And if you fail. The car suddenly swerved. Hard. We'd been hit. Get down. Min-Jun's voice was pure command as he shoved my head below the window line, his body covering mine and the triplets in one smooth motion. Another impact. The Mercedes rocked but held firm. Bulletproof glass, reinforced chassis, Min-Jun said calmly, like we were discussing the weather and not being literally attacked. We're safe. Taeyong, status. 3 vehicles, coordinated attack, came Taeyong's voice through the car's speaker system. He was driving with the precision of someone who'd done this before. Not your father's men. Checking thermal now. It's the Yamada group. Min-Jun cursed in Korean, then caught himself, glancing at the triplets. Sorry. Daddy said a bad word, Amara announced helpfully. Mommy says worse when she steps on Legos, Ji-hoon added. Even in the midst of a vehicular assault, I had to defend myself. That's different. Legos are a war crime. Min-Jun's laugh was startled and genuine. Then he was all business again, pulling out his phone. How did the Yamadas know our route? That's the fun part, Taeyong said grimly. They didn't. They were waiting at the wedding venue. Someone told them you'd be there. My mind raced. Hannah. What? Min-Jun looked at me. Your bride. Ex-bride. Whatever. Think about it. The Yamadas are your biggest rivals, right? What better way to destabilize your organization than to infiltrate through marriage? You humiliate her publicly, she gives them your location. Classic revenge. Min-Jun stared at me like I'd just solved world hunger. You're brilliant. I know. Now how do we get out of this? We don't run. His smile was sharp and dangerous. The mafia boss, not the ex-husband. Taeyong, take us to the safe house. Time to show these Yamada dogs why you don't mess with the Kang family. 20 minutes later, we pulled into an underground garage that looked like something from a spy movie. Armed guards, security cameras, the works. This is your safe house? I asked, stepping out with my heels clicking on polished concrete. One of 12, Min-Jun said casually, helping Ji-hoon out of the car. The triplets will be safe here while we deal with the Yamada situation and my father. While we deal with it. I raised an eyebrow. You're coming to the family meeting. Remember? Oh, I haven't forgotten. But Min-Jun, I left this world behind. I'm not. You were never just in this world, Zara. You were made for it. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. Do you remember the Choi incident? 3 years ago. I did. A rival group had tried to kidnap me for leverage. I'd escaped by sweet-talking the guard, stealing his gun, and leaving 3 grown men tied up with their own shoelaces by the time Min-Jun's team arrived. I remember you yelled at me for an hour about taking risks, I said. I yelled because you were magnificent and terrifying, and I realized I'd married a woman who could run this empire better than half my lieutenants. His hand found mine. You didn't need my protection. You never did. I was just too proud to admit that I needed yours. Damn him and his character development. Smooth talker, I muttered. Daddy and Mommy are holding hands. Kwame announced gleefully. We sprang apart like guilty teenagers. A woman appeared, tall, elegant, with kind eyes. Mr. Kang. I'm Miss Park, the children's attendant. The playroom is ready. Playroom. Amara's eyes went wide. With every toy you can imagine, Miss Park said with a warm smile. And ice cream as promised. As the triplets were led away, chattering excitedly, I felt the weight of reality settling back on my shoulders. Your father, I said. What exactly does this test involve? Min-Jun's expression darkened. My father is old school. Traditional. When I married you, a black woman, a foreigner, someone outside the organization, he barely accepted it. The only reason he didn't disown me was because I'd already proven myself indispensable to the business. And now I've publicly claimed you and our children in front of Seoul's elite. In his eyes, I've made a declaration. You're not just my ex-wife anymore. You're a potential liability or asset to the entire Kang family. He ran his hand through his hair again. He'll test your loyalty, your strength, your worthiness. How? I don't know. He changes it every time. But Zara, he grabbed both my hands now, his grip urgent. Whatever he asks, whatever he says, don't let him intimidate you. He respects strength above all else. I raised Triplets alone while building a multimillion-dollar company, I said dryly. I think I can handle one Korean mafia boss. His smile was proud. That's my girl. I'm not your anything yet. You have a lot of groveling to do. I know. I have a whole plan. It involves groveling, begging, possibly skywriting. Skywriting. I'm desperate. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He looked at it and his jaw tightened. He's ready for us. Now. The Kang family estate was in Hanam-dong, because of course it was, the richest neighborhood in Seoul. The house was a masterpiece of traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern security that probably cost more than some countries' GDP. Min-Jun held my hand as we walked through hallways lined with priceless art. I was very aware of the guards everywhere, watching us. Breathe, he whispered. You've got this. We entered a traditional Korean sitting room. And there he was. Kang Dae-young, Min-Jun's father. The head of the Kang syndicate. He was smaller than I remembered, but age hadn't diminished his presence. He sat on a cushion like a king on a throne, his eyes sharp and assessing. Appa, Min-Jun said, bowing formally. I've brought. I know who she is. His voice was like gravel. The woman who gave me 3 grandchildren I've never met. I stepped forward, meeting his gaze directly. The woman your son abandoned while pregnant. Min-Jun made a strangled sound. Tae-young, standing in the corner, looked impressed. Dae-young's eyebrow raised. You speak to me with such boldness? Would you respect me if I didn't? A long pause. Then, impossibly, a small smile. Sit. We sat. Min-Jun's hand found mine under the table, squeezing. You humiliated my son today, Dae-young said. Arrived at his wedding like a queen, disrupted the entire ceremony, made him look foolish in front of Seoul's most powerful families. Actually, your son humiliated himself by inviting his ex-wife to his wedding as some twisted power play that backfired spectacularly. Dae-young's smile widened. You defend him? No. I'm just accurate. The Yamadas attacked you today. They did. Because of the scene at the wedding. You've made yourself a target. I made myself a target the day I married your son. The only difference now is that I'm rich enough to hire my own security. And the children? My spine straightened. What about them? They're Kang blood. That makes them valuable. Vulnerable. Targets for every rival syndicate in Asia. Which is why they need their father, I said, glancing at Min-Jun. And why I need to know, is Min-Jun serious about being in their lives? Or is this another strategic move? Dae-young looked at his son. Well? Answer her. Min-Jun turned to me, and the vulnerability in his eyes nearly broke me. When I signed those divorce papers, I told myself I was protecting you. That you'd be safer away from this life. But the truth is, I was protecting myself. I was scared. Of what? Of not being enough. Of failing you the way I failed at having a normal life. Of bringing you into darkness you didn't deserve. His thumb traced circles on my hand. But you didn't need my protection. You needed my partnership. And I was too much of a coward to give it to you. And now? I whispered. Now I'm still terrified. But I'm more terrified of living without you. Of my children growing up not knowing their father. of never having the chance to prove I can be the man you deserved all along. Dae-young stood abruptly. Enough emotion. I have a test. Here it comes. He walked to a wall panel and pressed it. A hidden door opened, revealing a room full of screens showing various locations around Seoul. The Yamadas will retaliate for today's failed attack. They will come for you, your children, or my son. You have two choices. Which are? I asked, my heart pounding. 1. You leave Seoul tonight. Take your children, disappear, and live your safe, separate life. I'll ensure the Yamadas never find you. Min-Jun will sign away all parental rights. You'll be free. And option 2? His eyes were cold. You stay. You marry my son. A real marriage this time, with all the danger and responsibility that entails. You become a Kang in truth, not just in name. Which means when threats come, you stand and fight. Your children will be raised in this world. Protected, yes, but never safe. That's not a fair choice, Min-Jun started, but I held up my hand. Let me understand, I said to Dae-young. Option 1 is safety and freedom. Option 2 is danger and duty. Yes. And you're asking me to choose right now? Without thinking? Without discussing with Min-Jun? A Kang must be able to make hard choices instantly. This is your test. I looked at Min-Jun. At the man I'd loved, lost, and maybe could love again. At the future full of complications and threats and impossible situations. Then I thought of my triplets. Of Ji-hoon's laugh, Amora's fierce independence, Kwami's gentle heart. They deserved to know their father. They deserved to have both parents. And I deserved to stop running from something just because it was hard. I choose option 3, I said. Dae-young frowned. There is no option 3. There is now. I stay. But I don't marry Min-Jun. Min-Jun's face fell. Not yet, I continued, standing up. He doesn't get to waltz back into my life after 3 years and think one grand gesture fixes everything. If he wants me, if he wants us, he has to earn it. Court me. Date me. Prove that he can be the partner I need and the father our children deserve. I turned to Min-Jun. You said you have a groveling plan? Put your money where your mouth is. I want romance. I want effort. I want to see you choose us every single day, not just when it's dramatic. And the Yamadas? Dae-young asked. The danger. I smiled. I didn't build a multimillion-dollar empire by being afraid. I'll stay. I'll fight. But I'll do it as Zara or Kang, not as anyone's property or prize. I'm a partner, not a possession. The room was silent. Then Dae-young started laughing, a deep, genuine laugh. Min-Jun, you fool. You married a queen and treated her like a pawn. I know, Appa. If you lose her again, you deserve it. I know. Dae-young looked at me with something that might have been respect. You'll have my protection. The full weight of the Kang family. But Zara, if you betray us, if you put my grandchildren at risk, if you prove unworthy of the name you carry. You'll destroy me, I finished. I understand. But the same goes for your son. He hurts me or those children again, and no amount of mafia power will protect him from me. Another pause. Then, welcome to the family. Again. As we left the estate, Min-Jun pulled me aside in the garden. That was the most terrifying and attractive thing I've ever witnessed. You like it when I threaten your father? I like it when you're yourself. Fearless. Brilliant. Strong. He cupped my face. I meant what I said. I'll earn you back. However long it takes. It's going to take a while, I warned. I have very high standards now. Good. I deserve to work for it. His phone buzzed. He looked at it and cursed. The Yamadas just took out one of our warehouses. This is war now. Then we fight. We. I smiled. You wanted a partner, right? Let's show them what the Kangs are made of. As we walked back to the car, hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next, I realized something. I'd thought coming to that wedding was about closure. Turns out, it was about opening a door I'd thought was locked forever. And on the other side? Danger, chaos, 3 beautiful children, and a man desperate to prove he could be worthy of a second chance. This was going to be complicated. But when was my life ever simple? You want to take me on a date? While we're in an active war with the Yamada Syndicate? Are you insane? Min-Jun had the audacity to look offended. We were in his penthouse. Yes, he'd upgraded since our divorce. And he'd just proposed the most ridiculous plan I'd ever heard. I'm trying to court you properly, he said. You said I had to earn you back. I meant flowers and apologies, not getting me killed. I can multitask. I stared at him. He was serious. My ex-husband, the Mafia CEO, standing in his designer kitchen making breakfast for our triplets, he'd learned to cook, character development. Actually thought dinner and gunfights were compatible activities. Mommy, can we have pancakes? Amara asked, oblivious to the insanity of her parents. Yes baby, I said, not taking my eyes off Min-Jun. With extra syrup. Because apparently we're all living in a comedy now. Is this about the restaurant? He asked innocently. Because I promise, it's the safest place in Seoul. I own it. The chef is ex-special forces. The servers are all trained in combat. And the private dining room has bulletproof glass. You're describing a fortress, not a romantic dinner. Can't it be both? Despite everything, the danger, the drama, the absolute chaos of my life right now, I laughed. You're really going to do this? Full-on romance in the middle of a syndicate war. Especially in the middle of a syndicate war. He plated the pancakes with surprising skill. Because if I wait for things to be safe, I'll be waiting forever. This is my life, Zara. Our life. And I refuse to let fear stop me from showing you how much you mean to me. Damn him and his growth mindset. Fine, I said. 1 date. But if I get shot at, you're doing diaper duty for a month. Deal. Though the triplets are 6, so I'll make them regress out of spite. Ji-hoon looked up from his pancakes. Daddy, are you and Mommy getting married again? Min-Jun knelt to his level. I hope so, buddy. But first I have to show Mommy that I can be the best daddy and partner in the whole world. You're already the best daddy, Kwame said shyly. I watched Min-Jun's eyes fill with tears. Thank you, son. That means everything. My heart did a traitorous flutter. The date was scheduled for Friday night. Which gave Min-Jun exactly 3 days to both plan romantic gestures and deal with the Yamada situation. Watching him try to balance both was actually entertaining. No, I need the roses to be purple, not red, he was saying into his phone while simultaneously reviewing attack strategies with Taeyong. Red is cliché. She wore purple to the wedding. It's symbolic. What do you mean you can't find purple roses in February? Find them or I'll. Taeyong, why are our munitions shipments late? Because the Yamadas hijacked 2 trucks, Taeyong said dryly. Also, purple roses? Really? I'm courting, Min-Jun snapped. This is serious. I was sitting in his office, supposedly reviewing my own company emails, but really I was watching this ridiculous display. Chioma was with the triplets at the safe house, giving me some adult time. You know, I said casually, you could just admit you need help. I don't need. Min-Jun. You're trying to run a criminal empire and win back your ex-wife simultaneously. Even you aren't that talented. He slumped in his chair. I want everything to be perfect. The date, the security, everything. Because if I mess this up, if I lose you again. I walked around his desk and turned his chair to face me. Hey, look at me. He did, and God, those eyes. I'm not going anywhere, I said softly. Not while you're trying this hard. But you need to delegate. Let Taeyong handle the Yamadas. You focus on us. But. No buts. Trust your team. Trust your second in command. That's what they're there for. Taeyong straightened. She's right. I can handle the Yamadas. You focus on not screwing up your second chance. Min-Jun looked between us. You're both conspiring against me. We're conspiring for you, I corrected. There's a difference. He pulled me onto his lap, bold move, and I let him just this once. How did I ever let you go? He murmured. By being an idiot. But you're improving. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression hardened. The Yamadas just sent a message. They want a meeting. That's good, right? I asked. Maybe they want to negotiate peace. Or it's a trap. Then don't go alone. I won't. He kissed my forehead, another bold move that I also allowed. I'll take the whole team. But you stay here, behind security. Actually, Taeyong interjected, she should come. We both stared at him. Hear me out, he continued. The Yamadas don't know much about Zara except that she's Min-Jun's ex-wife and mother of his children. If she comes to the meeting, dressed to kill, showing she's part of this family now, it sends a message. United front. Plus, he grinned at me, I've seen your negotiation skills with Min-Jun. Imagine what you could do to the Yamadas. Absolutely not, Min-Jun said. Too dangerous. Everything in your life is dangerous, I pointed out. And Taeyong's right. If I'm going to be part of this family again, if I'm going to let our children grow up in this world, I need to establish myself. Not as your weakness, but as your strength. Zara. Besides, I smiled sweetly, if they try anything, I'm petty enough to ruin their whole operation just out of spite. Taeyong laughed. I like her. Everyone likes her, Min-Jun muttered. That's the problem. Fine. But you wear a vest. And stay behind me at all times. I'll wear a vest. But the behind you thing? We'll negotiate. The Yamada meeting was set for neutral ground, a luxury hotel conference room, fancy enough to maintain pretenses, public enough to prevent outright violence. I dressed strategically. Black suit, tailored perfectly to show I meant business but also to conceal the bulletproof vest Min-Jun insisted on. My locks were styled up elegantly. Minimal jewelry except for diamond studs that cost more than most cars. You look terrifying, Chioma said approvingly as she helped me get ready. Like a CEO who could also kill someone. That's the vibe I'm going for. Min-Jun appeared in the doorway and froze. You're wearing that? Yes. Problem. The problem is I need to threaten the Yamadas, but all I can think about is how stunning you look. Save it for the actual date, I said, but I was smiling. The ride to the hotel was tense. Min-Jun held my hand the entire time, his thumb tracing nervous circles on my palm. Taeyong sat across from us, reviewing security protocols. Remember, Taeyong said to me, the Yamadas will try to intimidate you. Don't show fear. Please. I've negotiated with investors who thought they could lowball me because I'm a black woman. I think I can handle some mafia men. Min-Jun's grip tightened on my hand. Proud, I realized. He was proud of me. The hotel conference room was exactly what I expected. Sleek, modern, expensive. The Yamada delegation was already there. Yamada Hiroshi sat at the head of the table, flanked by his sons and several lieutenants. He was older, scarred, with eyes that had seen too much violence. Kang Min-Jun, he said in Japanese accented Korean. Then his gaze slid to me. And this must be the woman who disrupted your wedding. How entertaining. I smiled and responded in fluent Japanese, Yamada-san. A pleasure. I've heard so much about your organization's recent difficulties. His eyes widened slightly. Min-Jun squeezed my hand, a warning or encouragement, I wasn't sure. You speak Japanese, Hiroshi said. I speak 7 languages. Useful in international business. Also useful when your rivals forget that the wife might actually understand their private conversations. One of his lieutenants had been whispering to his colleague in Japanese, something crude about my appearance. He went pale. Shall we begin? Min-Jun said smoothly, pulling out my chair before sitting beside me. The meeting was brutal. Negotiations about territory, trade routes, reparations for the attacks. I stayed quiet mostly, observing, learning the dynamics. Until Hiroshi made a mistake. Your children, he said casually. 3 of them, I hear. What beautiful leverage. The room went cold. Min-Jun was half out of his chair before I put a hand on his arm. Let me. I leaned forward, my voice pleasant. Yamada-san, I'm going to explain something to you. Those children? They're not leverage. They're not bargaining chips. They're Kangs. And if you or anyone in your organization even thinks about threatening them, I will personally ensure that your empire burns to the ground. Bold words from someone with no power. No power. I laughed. I built a multinational company from nothing. I have connections in 30 countries, assets you can't touch, and the kind of dirt on Seoul's elite that would make your head spin. I don't need mafia power. I have real power. The kind you can't threaten or buy. She's also petty enough to actually do it, Taeyong added helpfully. Hiroshi studied me. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. I see why you kept her, Kong. She's magnificent. She's also not mine to keep, Min-Jun said. She's her own person. That's what makes her dangerous. Indeed. Hiroshi sat back. Very well. A truce. No more attacks. We'll respect your territory if you respect ours. And the children, he looked at me directly, are off limits. You have my word. Your word and a public treaty, I countered. Witnessed and signed. Because respectfully, Yamada-san, I don't trust verbal agreements when my babies are involved. Another pause. Then he laughed, a genuine, surprised sound. You drive a hard bargain. I'm a businesswoman. It's what I do. The treaty was drawn up, signed and witnessed. As we left the hotel, Min-Jun pulled me aside. That was incredible, he said. You just negotiated peace with our biggest rival. I just protected our children. Our children. He smiled. I like how that sounds. Don't get used to it yet. You still have a date to nail. About that. His phone rang. He looked at it and groaned. The purple roses arrived. Dead. What? Someone sabotaged the shipment. They're all dead. I started laughing. You're cursed. Romance cursed. This isn't funny. It's a little funny. I just want one perfect date. I cupped his face. Min-Jun. I don't need perfect. I need real. I need you trying, even when things go wrong. That's what I fell in love with the first time. His eyes searched mine. You fell in love with my disasters? I fell in love with your effort. Your passion. The way you care so much that you turn into a stress case about flower colors. I kissed his cheek. Now come on. Let's go get our kids and order pizza. We can do the fancy date another time. But I planned. Min-Jun. Our first date was instant ramen in your apartment because you forgot to make a reservation. And it was perfect. He smiled, that real, genuine smile that made me fall for him 7 years ago. Instant ramen and pizza. I'm really ramenancing you properly. You're learning what I actually value. That's better than any fancy restaurant. As we drove back to the safe house, I realized something. This, the chaos, the danger, the imperfect attempts at romance, this was US. This was our story. And maybe that was perfect enough. The fancy date was rescheduled for the following week. And by rescheduled, I mean Min-Jun went into full tactical planning mode like he was organizing a military operation. You have blueprints of the restaurant, I said, staring at his dining table covered in papers. Blueprints. I need to ensure every exit is secured. Every sightline covered. Every chance for romance completely murdered by your paranoia. He looked up, hair disheveled from running his hands through it repeatedly. I just want you to be safe. I know. I walked over and took the blueprints from his hands. But baby, you need to breathe. The Yamadas signed a truce. Your security team is the best in Seoul. And I'm a grown woman who survived triplet pregnancy and the terrible twos. I think I can handle dinner. Don't call me baby unless you mean it, he said quietly. What if I do mean it? The air between us shifted. Charged. Dangerous in a completely different way than the mafia threats. Zara. His voice was rough. We should check on the kids, I said quickly, stepping back. They're too quiet. We found the triplets in the living room, and the scene made my heart melt and panic simultaneously. They'd built an elaborate fort out of couch cushions and blankets, and inside, Ji-hoon was teaching his siblings something on a tablet. What are you learning? Min-Jun asked, crouching down. Daddy's business. Ji-hoon said proudly. My blood went cold. What? Relax, Min-Jun said quickly. I gave them access to the legitimate business portfolios. Real estate, investments, nothing illegal. He's 6. He asked how I make money. I wasn't going to lie. Amara popped her head out of the fort. Daddy says we're going to be rich. You already are rich, baby, I sighed. Your trust funds could buy a small country. Can we buy a princess castle? Kwame asked hopefully. Maybe, Min-Jun said, and I shot him a look. What? They should know their family's resources. They should know their family's values, I corrected. Money isn't everything. Says the woman who built a multimillion-dollar empire. I built it to prove I didn't need yours. We stared at each other, the tension crackling. You two fight like married people, Taeyong observed from the doorway. It's adorable. We're not married, we said in unison. Yet, he added with a smirk. The night of the actual date finally arrived. I'd bought a new dress, deep emerald green that complemented my skin tone perfectly. Simple jewelry. Hair styled in soft curls. I looked good and I knew it. Chioma was staying with the triplets, heavily armed guards stationed throughout the safe house. Min-Jun had wanted to hire a whole security team just for them, but I'd negotiated down to 6 highly trained professionals instead of his proposed 15. You look. Min-Jun appeared in the doorway and literally forgot to finish his sentence. I look. I prompted, amused. Like I don't deserve you. But I'm going to try anyway. He was wearing a perfectly tailored suit, his hairstyle just right, and he looked like every fantasy I'd ever had and tried to forget. You look good too, I admitted. Yeah. Don't let it go to your head. The restaurant was everything he'd promised. Intimate, exclusive and yes, probably capable of withstanding a small war. The private dining room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River, the city lights sparkling like stars. This is beautiful, I breathed. You haven't even seen the menu yet. Dinner was perfect. The food was incredible, the wine was exactly my preference, he remembered, and the conversation flowed like we'd never been apart. Tell me about your company, he said. I know it's successful, but I want to hear about the journey. Every detail. So I told him. About the late nights formulating products in my tiny apartment kitchen while pregnant. About the rejection from investors who didn't take me seriously. About the first major sale that made me cry with relief. About building an empire one lipstick at a time while raising 3 children alone. I'm so proud of you, he said when I finished. And so ashamed I wasn't there to help. I didn't need your help. But I would have liked your support. You'll have it now. I promise. Whatever you need, funding, connections, someone to watch the kids while you have meetings, I'm there. I don't need your money, Min-Jun. I know. But maybe you need a partner. Someone to celebrate the wins with. Someone to brainstorm with at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep because you're worried about quarterly projections. He remembered. I used to do that. Wake up in the middle of the night, mind racing with business ideas. He'd make tea and listen to me ramble for hours. You're really trying, I said softly. I'm really in love with you, he corrected. And I'm terrified of losing you again. So yes, I'm trying. I'll try every day for the rest of my life if that's what it takes. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. Answer it, I said. It might be important. He checked it and his face darkened. The Yamadas. I thought we had a truce. We do. But Hiroshi's younger brother doesn't agree with it. He's gathering support to stage a coup, overthrow Hiroshi, and restart the war. My stomach sank. What does that mean for us? It means we might be walking into a trap. The truce could collapse any moment. He stood up. We need to leave. Now. Min-Jun. The windows exploded. Glass shattered everywhere. Min-Jun threw himself over me, covering my body with his as bullets sprayed the room. The bulletproof glass held, but the noise was deafening. Move! He shouted, pulling me toward a back exit I hadn't even noticed. We ran through the kitchen, chefs diving for cover, and out into a service corridor. Taeyong appeared from nowhere, gun drawn. Yamada's brother, he confirmed. 6 shooters, maybe more. Cars ready. We burst out into an alley where a armored SUV waited. Min-Jun shoved me inside and climbed in after me, Taeyong taking the wheel. So much for our date, I said, checking myself for injuries. Nothing. The vest had worked. I'm sorry, Min-Jun said. I'm so sorry. I promised you romance and I almost got you killed. You also saved my life. Again. That's not the point. Then what is the point? He grabbed my face, his hands shaking. The point is I love you. I love you so much it terrifies me. And every time I think about you getting hurt because of my world, because of the choices I've made. I kissed him. Right there in the back of a speeding SUV, while gunfire echoed behind us and our driver took corners like a professional racer, I kissed my ex-husband like my life depended on it. Because maybe it did. He kissed me back desperately, like I was air and he'd been drowning. Like 3 years hadn't passed. Like we were still those crazy kids who fell in love despite every logical reason not to. I love you too, I gasped when we finally broke apart. I never stopped. I was just so hurt and angry and... I know. And I'll spend forever making it up to you. We might not have forever, I pointed out. We might have about 10 minutes before whoever's shooting at us catches up. Then I'll make those 10 minutes count. He kissed me again, softer this time. Tender. Like I was precious. We're clear, Taeyong announced from the front. Heading to the secondary safe house. Also, you two are adorable, but maybe save the making out for when we're not actively fleeing assassination attempts. We broke apart, slightly sheepish. The kids, I said suddenly. Are they safe? Min-Jun assured me. I have 3 teams on them. No one's getting past that security. Your brother is going to be pissed about the restaurant. My brother owns 12 restaurants. He'll survive. He pulled me close. But Zara, this is my life. This chaos, this danger. If you stay with me, if you let me back in, this is what you're signing up for. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Then I looked at him. This complicated, dangerous, devoted man who was trying so hard to be better. Who loved our children fiercely. Who looked at me like I hung the moon. I'm a black woman who built a business empire in Korea while raising triplets alone, I said. You think a few mafia shootouts scare me? His smile could have lit up Seoul. Is that a yes? That's a we'll see. You still have a lot of groveling to do. I can grovel. I'm excellent at groveling. I'll grovel so hard. Min-Jun. Yeah. Shut up and kiss me again. He did. And as we sped through Seoul streets, dodging threats and danger, heading back to our children and whatever chaos tomorrow would bring, I realized something. This was insane. Absolutely insane. But it was our insane. And I wouldn't have it any other way. We burst into the safe house to find the guards unconscious. The living room was empty. Chioma was tied to a chair, blood trickling from her temple, eyes wide with terror. And on the wall, written in red paint, I hoped it was paint. You took my brother's honor. Now I take your children. Yamada Kenji. The triplets were gone. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and comment where you're watching from. Help me prove to my mom that this story can hit 10,000 views and 1,000 subscribers. Part 2 coming soon.